Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to the Interesting Modelling Company Sunday service. I am joined tonight by Mr. Christopher Buchholz. Unfortunately, we're not joined by Drew this evening, who apparently is having internet problems. So he might come in a little bit later. I'm just changing my name. That's better. So hopefully, Drew, if you're watching, we'll keep the door open for you and you join at your leisure. So, Chris, how the Charles Dickens are you? And we can say Charles Dickens because we're into December now. So
it's the Christmas season. Yes, it is. So there you go. Yeah, I'm doing fine on this day of infamy. So everybody's gonna watch Tora and celebrate the fact that they didn't get the carriers. That's what we do here. But no, it's nice. It's a lovely day here in California. The sun's out. It's not as cold as it was, which is not very cold compared to the rest of the world, frankly. It's nice. Just nice.
It's a cold day here, I can tell you. And Anne-Marie Ryle Gould says that'll be everyone in Somerset flooding the internet. Yes. Probably people are going mad to get their Christmas shopping done or getting their Waitrose orders in. We've got news to cover tonight, but project updates. So, Christopher, where are we with your Devastator?
Well, it's about ready for this thing to go into the fuselage and get the fuselage closed up, which is great. This is the cockpit and bombardier and radio man gunner cockpits for the TBD-1 Devastator. It's going to go into an Airfix Devastator fuselage. And that stuff there is white ensign metal, some resin parts from the Valum kit. There's some the rudder pedals are from the Valum photo etch, which I happened to find. I'd lost it and I found it this week looking for something else entirely. The seat belts that are on there are from the Special Hobby sheet for the Vindicator, same time period. And some other things like the fire extinguisher and the radios in the back cockpit and stuff like that are scratch built. And it's a very interesting airplane. And that yellow thing there, sitting in the middle seat, is actually the life raft. And I know that was there because the actual rear seat gunner of this airplane, Lloyd Childers, told me that when they flew without the bombardier, which they did on torpedo missions, they would take the life raft out of the life raft compartment and stick it in the middle seat so they can get to it easier. In case of ending up in the water, which they did. Unfortunately, in the case of this airplane, it was shut up so badly and so much oil got onto the canopy. When they landed in the water, the pilot couldn't get that center section open, so they ended up having to swim. And Lloyd almost bled to death as he was being towed to a destroyer by his pilot. So it's a nice detail to add. I don't think I've ever seen anybody else add this. But apparently that was common practice in the Devastator squadrons, is to put the life raft where you can get to it. And the life raft's just made out of tissue paper with some white glue, and then carefully strapped into place with a photo etch seatbelt. So it's coming right along. The other thing I did, I put there's these little weird sighting windows on the lower side of the fuselage, right in front of the pilot's area on the fuselages, and I didn't have those parts, so I had to make them from plastic scrap. Clear plastic scrap, and it took one side, of course, took one try and was perfect. The other side took about 7 tries before it was exactly right. So that is done. So I'm very happy about this. The next step is going to be sticking this into the airplane itself and gluing the two sides together and going from there. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Excellent. So there we go. Excellent. Yeah, 'cause I think we had this conversation the other week that I am staggered that we've had, well, actually, when you think about it, we've all we've had in terms of especially Dauntless kits, we had the Hasegawa kit from what was it, 30 years ago in 72nd scale.
Mhm.
Um, we haven't had any new Devastators at all. It's quite remarkable that that of all the things of all the aircraft that you could do, is the Dauntless and the Devastator have just been largely ignored in 72nd scale by
Yeah.
mainstream kit
Well,
companies.
Flyhawk did a Dauntless. It's pretty nice, I have to say. They did
They
one
did.
fairly recently because
Yeah,
one of the guys in our club, John Carr, is building one for the same project I'm building the Devastator for.
that's it.
I haven't laid hands on one yet. My usual sources never have it for whatever reason, and so I've seen John's. It looks really great. But the Devastator, there was a very simplified Hobby Boss kit. There's the Airfix kit. There's Valum and there's Admiral, which are both kind of, the Valum one is shaped totally wrong, so it's kind of, you strike that right off the top there. And then the Admiral kit just is, not, let's just say, not state of the art. I'm surprised like Dora Wings or a Clear Prop or somebody hasn't said, this is easy pickings. We've got 2 obvious schemes for it. There was even a scheme they used, like an experimental scheme that was kind of a big swaths of dark blues and light blues on top of it that they used. So there's 3 basic major schemes, and so it seems like an obvious one. And it's and in those colorful schemes, the pre-war schemes, they're really pretty airplanes.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping my build does for this what my Tiger Cat did for the Fly Tiger Cat.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Viewer Jared, neighbor Jared, I call him, he says, love Chris's approach to modeling. Keep it small and add everything possible.
Well, I used to, when I was doing this, I thought, like, if I wanted to be a situation where if a pilot walked up, actual airplane walked up and looked, they would see everything they remembered. I don't have that problem now. I mean, there's nobody could walk up and look at a Devastator and say, "Oh, I remember flying this," because I know there are no more Devastator aviators left. But still, you want to give a good representation of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Williams Models says the Flyhawk Dauntless is a stunning kit. I built it a couple of years ago. It's on my not my to-do list. It's on my try and grab one when I see one. Because I'd really like to build do another Kiwi one, because I built the Airfix one as a Kiwi one, checks notes nearly 30 years ago, and yeah, I'd like to do that. I do like those Kiwi schemes. No news here in terms of my projects. I'm still working away. I'm still beavering away on the Super Leggera. But at the moment, in fact, I will. Here we go. At the moment, it is all construction, and I'm trying to get round to doing some painting at the moment, because I've got a fancy schmancy new airbrush, which I'm actually going to go and grab it and talk about for a few minutes. So we've got everything's being assembled into compartments for the colors, but it just seems to be an awful lot of construction at the moment, and not a lot of progress, no actual kind of painting. But talk of the devil, I took advantage of the Black Friday deals, and having already got myself a Galeri, I can't remember what it's called now, but it was their basic airbrush. I decided to bite the bullet and get one of their Mobius airbrushes, which people have been raving about. Change of screen. There we go. So here's the Mobius. This it was a Black Friday deal, and this cost me just over £70. But when you see what you get in the box, it's quite remarkable. So let's get the bump out of the way. So let's turn it around. So there we go. It comes with a quick release valve already in place. It also, it's not on there at the moment, but it does come with a, there we go. It comes with its own little kind of protective rubber cap to go over the nozzle. There's your color cup with a screw-in lid, a pop-on lid rather. You also get some spare washers and O-rings, and again, a bit like the other one that I bought. It's got a nice weight to it. It's got a nice balance to it. It doesn't feel cheap. The action, I've got to say, is beautifully smooth. I mean, that's lovely. It's got a Mac valve at the front. You've got a needle stopper at the back so that you can set your pressure, and then once you've got your line, you can set it at the back and whatever. Like I say, I haven't had a chance to road test it yet, but first impressions upon opening the box, and just like I say, the weight and feel of it, and the whole presentation is glorious. I mean, there's the that's the inside of the box. Galeri aren't cutting corners when it comes to how they're presenting themselves. They really are going full out to. It's almost to almost give you that kind of Apple experience. I think people who've bought Apple products know what that's like. Yeah. My one regret is I didn't get any of the other ones when they were on offer. But the night is young. But I think 2 airbrushes, Chris, in the space of a week. I think that's I think that's not bad going. But yeah, this one was 70 quid. It's a 0.2 millimeter nozzle, needle and nozzle as well. But I've got to say, I am seriously impressed with Galeri, and quite possibly not the last of their airbrushes I will buy. So I'm really looking forward to putting that through its paces. I'm trying to find a project where I can really kind of test it to the limit, but I'll think of something. But yeah, that is quite a lovely piece of kit.
Yeah, they do nice airbrush. Airbrushes. I have the lower end one, and like I said, I got it in a raffle because I've been such a bigot around my Pache VL for like the last 30 plus years.
Yeah.
But when I used it to paint like the yellow on the Spitfire leading edge wings and some other things on the Spitfire, and yeah, it's a very nice airbrush. It really works great out of the box, and it doesn't take too long to find your feel with it. The only concern I have is that needle is so fine, and that little fitting behind above across the needle, that cone on the tip is so small that when I went to clean it, it's easy to lose. It's such a small little part, but it's nice, and I think that like Dave Coward says, I think the next step here is to see how they are with spares and replacement parts, and keeping their customers in business with that airbrush, because things do wear out and the accidents do happen.
Rally Chef says, I bit the bullet and got the Mobius 0.5 trigger TG airbrush this week. I was looking at them. I will say that we're talking about nozzles. I'm going to be very careful how I do this, but on this model is that the nozzle doesn't actually screw in. It's just a push fit.
Yep.
So it's very easy that when you take the cap off, I can see in some circumstances, and I'm doing this very carefully. There we go. The nozzles actually it's there inside the needle. So if I just tap it, there we go, the nozzles come out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got to be, I'm doing this very, very carefully, just get the needle out of the way. Yeah, there's no thread on that, so it literally pushes into there, and then it's held in place by the by the cap. So yes, when you are cleaning this brush and you are taking the cap off, you have to be very, very careful to make sure that it doesn't kind of launch itself into oblivion. But yeah, this is the GAD 39, and yeah, I've no issues with this at all. And a bit like Rally Chef, I am definitely having a look at one of their trigger ones, because I'm an airbrush junkie. So
Right.
Mike Williams says apparently the UK based website is great for Galeri spares, both stock levels and postage speed and service.
That's great.
There we go. And SPF Parker says looks good, but does it work? Be really interested in a long road test, especially ease of cleaning and general maintenance. Yep, I'd agree. I will say that of my other budget airbrushes, my Fenders, they are coming on now for 4 years constant use, still with all the original componentry, still working like a dream. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. And Simon Lewis, top tip from Simon here: just do what I do with small parts on models and put a cup underneath. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good idea.
Or not do what I sometimes do, which is sit back on the chair and just kind of disassemble the airbrush comfortably, and then I'm on my hands and knees scouring the floor for the bit that I just dropped. So and Paul Voyle says use mine for 6 months, great to clean and use. So yes. Right, news, and the news is that we've had an update from Litaki on their next 72nd scale kit. Now, those of you with older memories will know that we built their Oreo. I keep calling it the Oreo, but yeah, the Oreo, which not built it, we bought it, but it's a stunning kit. So this looks to be equal to, if not surpassing this. Now, Chris, this is one of life's great mysteries for me, is that given how many people fly these Aeromakis and how many color schemes you can hang on them, that we've not yet had a 72nd, a decent 72nd scale kit of it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Did Supermodel do one in the Dark Ages? Like
they
in the 70s?
did, yep. And it's
that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
No, this airplane is so widely used. I can't even in my mind I can't form a picture of the stereotypical marking scheme of the MB 339. It's used by everybody. There's tons of schemes, and it's yeah, it's really a cool airplane. As a detail note, I love the twin seat jets with the great big canopies. That's up my alley. But also the fact that it's a little airplane that carries a ton of stores.
Yes,
really cool.
Yeah, I mean it's we've got bombs there, we've got rocket pods. Oops a daisy, we've run out of images. But yeah, I think the decal manufacturers out there will be rubbing their hands with glee at how many sheets they can produce for this, because oh my goodness me, it's just such a colourful aeroplane, and as befits the name of our show, it's an interesting aeroplane. It makes for an interesting model, and yeah, look at all those stores that you can wang underneath it. That it does look good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. It's part of a great collection of twin place trainer / Cohen light attack aircraft, along with the T-33 and There's a whole bunch of these straight wing type airplanes like this that came around in the late 50s that saw, or earlier 50s, that saw a lot of service, and as a result had lots of schemes, and lots of. I think that the Argentinians flew them during the Falklands adventure, and so it's seen a little bit of combat here and there, and no, I've wanted to add one of these to my built-up collection for a long time, so I'm kind of glad I held off and didn't try to rehabilitate the supermodel kit.
Yes, but it's rather bizarre because Drew built the. I always get the variants mixed up, but Eshi did one of these, or an aircraft of this family, back in the early 1980s. And it is. I'm just going to double check that actually. I always get it mixed up with the Eshi. Yeah, I always get it mixed up with the 326. So not the 326 and the 339. They did the 326, but it's 48 scale. Absolutely stunning model. A stunning kit rather. And I know Drew built it. I'm going to say a couple of years ago. It's probably going to be about 5 years ago. And he just said it was a delight from start to finish. But yeah, the 326 and the 339 are just incredibly colourful aeroplanes.
Yeah. Trainer types don't get the modeling respect they should get, because they fulfill an important role. They're not the pointy, shooty, bang bang airplanes that people like to build, but they also are fulfilling a really important role. And if you like painting your model, there's nothing beats Trainer. The colors are fantastic. Nobody's ever been scared off painting their trainers to their air forces by things like camouflage and stuff. It's like, put some orange on there, put some yellow on there, put yellow and orange on there. Anything you want. It's great. So trainers are modelers' buddies. If you want something colorful on your shelf, look at that. I've got a couple all yellow late post World War II trainers on my shelves, and they always command a lot of attention compared to the camouflage things that actually saw action.
Yeah, I'm just on Drew's model page at the moment, see if I can find the photographs of his finished 326. Unfortunately, I can't at the moment, but yeah, he built it as an Australian one, and just playing catch up with the Galeri Lovin at the moment. Kitchen Table Modeler says, I've been using most of Galeri's airbrushes for the last 2 years with no problems. The Mobius TG with fan cap is amazing for wide area coverage. Highly recommended. Yep. I'll keep an eye on that. And Mike Williams says, Eshi MB326 in 48th remains one of my favorite builds from the last 10 years. Superb little model. Now that was from the early 1980s, and that's when Eshi were absolutely at the top of their game. They were banging out world-beating kits from that era. That's stuff like the Harriers, the F5s, the Starfighters, the F100 in 48 scale. That they really were just world leaders. And then mid 80s kind of weren't anymore.
Yeah, it always seemed to me like all the really good personnel at Eshi or Italeri moved over to doing helicopters because their helicopters were pretty good, and the airplanes suffered as a result, I think.
Yeah, no,
that's a conjecture. I don't know for sure.
No, Italeri's. Oh, I've just I've got bits of airbrush lying on the desk here. Italeri's helicopters have always been, by and large, they were always, real quality. And what I used to love about Italeri's helicopters up until about 30 years ago was, okay, they were still doing stuff with raised panel lines and rivets, but it worked with helicopters.
Right.
You buy their little Cayuse or their Jet Ranger or their Scout. They've got raised panel lines and rivets, but it works because it fits the subject. As soon as they started doing everything with recessed panel lines, the helicopters just lost character, I think. But that's just me, folks.
Well, helicopters don't need to have flush rivets everywhere and be super streamlined. They're not going to go more than 200 miles an hour, so there's no need for it. So in real life, you walk up to a helicopter and there's going to be pronounced rivets compared to an airplane, compared to a jet, I should say. So yeah, that detail worked really well.
Yeah. Bruce Bell reminds me there's the rare Frems MB339 in 148. Yeah. Yes, they were going to do starfighters, weren't they? And then, unfortunately, no longer with us.
Yep.
Right. So yes, Lataki, that looks to be absolutely top dollar. And like I say, I've got the Oreo, and that is just a fabulous little kit. It really is. And I'm just going to see if we got any more notes here on the MB339A. No, nothing else. So moving on. We may have covered this before, but you know what? We love it. We absolutely love it. And Copper State Models have released some more images of this, and I do believe the pre-order has started. They've said alongside the new Gebrov R armored car, we've prepared a full range of upgrade sets to take your build even further. Want an early single turret configuration? Need detailed wheels and tires, fenders, or photo etch? Pre-order lasts until the end of January, and yes, the full book by Stanislaw Krylec is still included with every Gebrov R kit. So there we go.
Wow.
On the limited pre-order, you do get this this book as well. So, but again, it's just something about this vehicle that's the extra bits that you can buy. Got to say that single turret is absolutely mad, isn't it? It's like a Dalek on steroids. But yeah, here are some of the color schemes. I quite like that, quite like the camouflage one, but then I'm a Deckle junkie. I do like the ones that have got the big honking markings on them. So, decisions.
Interesting. It looks like that camouflage one looks like the first application of digital camouflage.
Well, it's almost kind of proto Mickey Mouse camouflage as well.
Yeah.
And here are the parts. So not massively complicated, not massively complex either, but I'm sure it's exquisitely detailed. And these are actual images of a built model. These are not CAD renders. So, and that's the Gert Big turret one, 3D printed turret OVS, and with new fenders as well. But yeah. Dave Fleming says, Mad Max post-apocalyptic build, anyone? Yeah, the only thing about the single turret one is it doesn't have the Cyclops lens at the front, which I just think is, I just think that's such a unique feature of it. But there's the underside. So we do have some chassis detail, and there it is. There's the old Cyclops. Oh, goodness me. I think I'm going to have to put in an order for one of these because my proclivity for chucking mud at a model feels as though it's found a new victim.
It's every time you look at it from a different angle, you see something more weird.
It's almost like somebody kind of preempted the F-117, but as an armored car.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting, and I get a kick out of those. There's that big triangular notch there on the side of the body.
Yeah.
It's like we need to make room for one of the hatches, so let's cut that back.
Yeah, they're also doing some figures as well. I don't know what the story is here. There's looks like there's a lady being comforted by one officer, whilst another one is rather heartlessly kind of playing the the piano accordion. But hey ho, I don't know what the story is there, but yeah,
they're stealing her samovar.
You what? Sorry,
they're stealing her samovar. There.
That's true. Yeah. So yes, so they are doing some figures for it as well. Yep, I am absolutely sold on this, and I am going to have to put in a pre-order. What are we looking at? Andy King says, I still fancy the CSM ROM Fell.
Mm-hmm.
And SPF Parker says, looks like a Red Bull Soapbox Challenge cart. I do agree.
Get the kit and scale it up. The wheels couldn't be that hard to find. It look like they're so narrow. They're like bicycle wheels practically.
Well, yes, yeah, quite literally. In fact, I do believe some of the earliest British armored cars were actually built by bicycle manufacturers. So a lot of people riffing on the Mad Max thing. So like I say, I might bite the bullet this week and go for a pre-order. So yes, that just looks absolutely fabulous, doesn't it? Right.
Yeah.
Qatari have released some more images of their 32nd scale Hurricane Mark 1 early. They have said tooling is well underway and progress is looking good. There is still time to place your pre-order though. www.qatari-models.com to be amongst the first 500 customers and go into a random draw to be one of 20 lucky modelers to be given the chance to build and critique T2 test shot samples. Additionally, all pre-orders placed through qatarimodels.com will receive 32P002 Qatari 32nd scale Hurricane Mark 1 Spitfire Mark 1 early 3D print exhausts and an exclusive free beautiful barrel leg box art print. Artwork is progressing well and will be revealed later. Suitable for framing. Note that these offers are exclusively available for pre-orders placed through qatarimodels.com and only available while stocks last. We also have new 3D render images of the model, more clearly showing the detailed cockpit interior and intricate surface details, surface features, including recessed and raised rivets, doped fabric. Well, rather than me yakking on about it, let's look at some of the images, shall we? So, this is a CAD render, but if this matches the quality of their 109 and the Spitfire, I think people will be delighted. And they especially, from these CAD renders, seem to have understood what rib tapes are on a fabric wing Hurricane.
Yep.
And yep, we've got the fabric covered rear fuselage there. Again, this looks to have been delicately done. And there we have the rudder and the tail surfaces. It also looks like, I'm taking a guess here, but I'm guessing that they've also done that ventral fillet as a separate item so that you can do a flat early version and you can do the ones that have the fillet. Again, look how delicate those renders are showing those that fabric wing.
Very nice.
Roy Sutherland makes a very good point. He says, gone are the days of starved ribs on a Hurricane. And Craig Sargent in New Zealand says, printing exhausts as we speak. Goodness me. Let's not hold you up, Craig. But yeah, here's the cockpit. And yep, they've done it prototypical fashion, which is it's built around a tubular framework. Well, part of the actual tubular framework of the airframe itself, with the armored plate for the seat and the instrument panel kind of resting on it. It looks sumptuous, doesn't it, Chris?
Looks great. Yeah, looks like a lot of fun to paint.
Yes. Yep.
Really cool.
So we look forward to more progress from Qatari on this, but my gut feeling is they're onto a winner with this one.
Yeah.
Well, you can't go wrong with a Hurricane. Again, it's like how many color schemes can you hang on one, and especially once you've got your fuselages done, you can swap your wings out for metal winged versions. So
Mhm.
I can see this is gonna run this one.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is it's smart of them to start with this early one because everybody's going to be salivating for the metal wing one for their Battle of Britain builds, but this has a lot of great decal options for it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some of these on the table built up.
Yeah, there is a method to why sometimes kit companies do this. Why do they release the not going to say the less popular one, but they release the niche one before they release the banker ones. And in this instance, I can understand why Qatari have done it, because I get the feeling if they were to release the Battle of Britain version and then release the fabric wheel one, everybody wanted the 32nd scale Hurricane, so I've already got one.
Right. Right.
Whereas do it this way round,
everybody gets two.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So you get your sales, and everybody gets two bites of the cherry. So but Chris, we are not finished with 32nd scale Hawker aeroplanes.
Oh, good. I'm excited about this.
Airscale are doing a 32nd scale Hawker Typhoon. Now, this is the car door version. And again, this is what they're saying. Combining state-of-the-art injection molding with high-end 3D parts, this hybrid kit sets the tone for future modelers. Fuselage, wings, tailplanes, and clear parts are all injection molded, while everything bristles with finely realized 3D detail. Released in partnership with Typhoon Legacy in Canada, a percentage of sales of this kit will go towards their noble restoration of JP843 to flying condition. Expected release date of this kit is February 2026. If you're thinking of getting one, folks, it's not a pocket money kit. It is going to be around £265, but given that it's not being done by a mainstream manufacturer, it's a bespoke kit, and you can see in these photos, you can see the injection molded parts and the 3D printed parts. I don't think that's unreasonable, quite frankly.
For a kit of this size and this kind of detail, yeah. You know, I know a lot of people who've bought 32nd scale injection molded kits and then spent enough money to add up to that price in aftermarket stuff. So not totally unreasonable in this day and age, but yeah, great subject. And again, start with some. I personally like the car door Typhoons because they're just the quirky nature of that canopy is it just catches my fancy. But I can see the next iteration of this being a bubble top, and you've got the market. Again, you get people lined up for two of them.
A surprising number of color schemes you can hang on the car door versions.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is interesting that it's interesting that Airscale have gone the injection molded route, but yeah, that's just, it looks fabulous, doesn't it? I know we're always kind of gushing about things on this show, but this is why we tend to pick the highlights and the stuff that has caught our eye. So yes, we are going to gush about it. And look at that undercarriage detail, Chris.
Yeah, it's the bays look fantastic. As a detail nerd who likes to do this kind of stuff himself, it's great to see this in the production shots or the publicity shots, I should say. And the surface detail looks really great too.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some of these build too. This is the Typhoon and the Tempest are a couple of my favorites, and the attention they're getting now on larger scales is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I do apologise, folks, if you're picking up my wind chimes outside tonight. They're so relaxing in here, but they're probably terribly irritating for viewers. But hey ho. But yeah, this does look this looks like a serious contender, doesn't it? It's yeah. It's that interesting combination of, like Eduard are doing. It's that combination of doing the major components in injection molded, but pretty much everything else is going down the 3D printing road.
Yeah,
and I think that's an interesting way of being able to get kits done, quite frankly.
Select the media that works best for the thing you're doing for the model and use that. Not such a bad idea. And then 3D printing is so much more economical than it was, and certainly is more economical and manageable than resin casting. That it just makes sense these days.
Yeah. Right. We are going from the sublime, not to the ridiculous, but I don't know how you word this. This is Micromere, and they're doing this, and it's 72nd scale, and it's the Project Pluto. It was a United States government program to develop a nuclear-powered ramjet-engined cruise missile. 2 engines were tested at the Nevada test site in 1961 and 1964, respectively. Surprise, surprise, the project ended up getting cancelled. This is not unlike the Bristol Bloodhound in terms of concept.
And its arrangement, yeah. However, in terms of its effect on its surroundings, it would have spewed radioactive waste in its path. I think it was designed to be launched and just sort of cruise around like a doomsday machine kind of thing until it was directed toward its target, and meanwhile just contaminating all of everything underneath it. And eventually somebody came around and thought, maybe it's not such a great idea to destroy ourselves in the process of destroying our enemy.
Yes, we're building this missile to protect our way of life, but our way of life is now currently 3-headed cows and kind of like bright red rivers. So yeah. So here we have the spread of parts, quite literally. This isn't going to be, or some of the parts anyway, this doesn't look like it's going to be massively complex thing to build. Nice display stand there as well, because obviously there's no undercarriage to stick on it. Yeah. I like the look of this, Chris. I do like the look of this.
It's an interesting subject. I know that somebody did it in vacuum form kit a while back, because somebody had it in our club, and we had a long discussion about this, because a lot of the folks in the Bay Area worked on we either worked for aerospace companies that had some hand in this, or knew somebody that did, and it was kind of this project that everybody they happily took the money for, laughing, knowing it was so impractical it would never be deployed. But no, having it as a kit is really great, and it's like the pinnacle of Cold War thinking, where we cannot allow there to be a self-destructing missile gap. We have to figure out a way to have one of our own that'll wreck our own environment. But,
beautiful box art as well.
It is.
Micromere certainly don't skimp on the box art for their aircraft stuff. And as it says up in the top right-hand corner, made during the Ukrainian wartime. So yeah, so if there's a reason to support people like Micromere, there you go. So we haven't finished with Micromere. We've got a couple more items to deal with tonight, but we'll come to them in a minute. We are diving on to this next one, and well, this is 3D printed. This is made by B&L Models, and it's a 35th scale monitor boat. Now, Chris, you're probably more au fait with the monitor boats than I am.
Yeah, there's a whole family of weird riverine craft like this in Vietnam that are really deserving of models. If you like that weird armored car from the Russian Revolution, uh,
Yeah.
this is kind of the 1960s corollary, which is these vessels, which are often were landing craft converted into these weird um, gunboats and dormitory boats, helicopter landing ships, and stuff like that. It's there's a whole menagerie of them there, and they really are deserving of models finally. And I think we're going to see some of them now because this is a cool subject.
According to Wikipedia, the Monitor was a highly modified version of the LCM-6 developed by the United States Navy for use as a mobile riverine assault boat in the Vietnam War. Another version served as a command and control boat, CCCB, or Charlie boat. And yeah, this is an indication of how the leaps and bounds that 3D printing has made in recent years, and the print resolution is this looks quite extraordinary, and the actual prints look nice and smooth as well.
Fenders.
Yeah,
There's your tires to hang over the side so you don't bounce off of any boats.
there we go. There's some more fenders as well. There's some of the upper structure, and
that if you see there, they have the bar armor on there. So be careful in taking off the supports because you might take off something you don't want to.
Yeah. I can see people might see that and think that's all supports. No, as you say, there's bar armor going on there, and as we can see, it's a great big lump. But they've also, I think that's the Oerlikon gun, and there were some close-ups coming up in a minute where they've managed to replicate. There we go. They've replicated the oil canning on the skin.
Oh yeah.
There's probably a better image of that in a minute. No, there isn't. But yeah, this. Again, I know we're kind of like pouring, we're eulogizing about this hobby, but this does look quite exceptional, doesn't it? And I was on their website having a look at some of their other bits and pieces. Well, in their own words, welcome to B&L Models, the leading 3D printing model company based in Vietnam. With our specialization in Vietnam vintage models, we take great pride in capturing the essence of Vietnam's rich history and culture. Our company is dedicated to filling a significant void in the model world by offering an authentic perspective on Vietnam's history. So yes, they do vehicles, they do figures. It's quite an education to go on their website, and we will put the link up to it so that you good folk can go and have a look. But yeah, this looks to be their biggest and most ambitious kit to date. But doesn't it also look a lot of fun?
Yeah, it's a great subject. There's so many opportunities for extra detail, and there's so many opportunities for dioramas and the activities of people on those ships. I mean, you wouldn't, or boats, I guess you would say they're boats.
Yeah.
Because they were engaged in things. They were doing stuff all the time, and those figures there obviously show, guys. There's a guy. There's looks like a gunner, and there's other people in relaxed positions, and yeah, it's really really cool. My mother had a friend whose boyfriend or husband had been a Navy helicopter pilot, and had a gigantic slideshow of action aboard these things when I was a kid. I wish I had been smart enough as a 10-year-old to say, can I borrow a copy of these slides? But yeah, these things did a lot more work than people realize, and they're a major part of the war on the Mekong Delta, and they're really not very well represented in kit form.
Yep. So that's B&L Models in Vietnam. We will put a link up to their website on our page, and yeah, folks, go and have a look and see what they're up to, because they look like they've got some interesting ideas. Next up, next up, we're kind of like we're going from kits to masks. Anybody who's built an F-35 knows that there is quite a lot of masking involved and painting, and especially on some of the Cs with all the RAM panels. This is from Galaxy model, and this is a set of 48 scale F-35C masks for the Italeri kit. So it's quite comprehensive. There's a lot going on there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That was my first impression. Double wow.
Yeah, anybody that tells you that masks are like cheating, have never used them and don't realize that how you still have to be very precise in how you use them.
Yep.
It's giving you a nice advantage you wouldn't have otherwise, but you still have to be pretty accurate in how you put them on there, or else you might be off side, wing to wing, or side to side of the fuselage.
Yeah. I'm just gonna no, there's no blurb to go with that. But yes, it gives you essentially masks for the whole airframe. To do all the RAM panels, all the detail painting. Yes, goodness me. I mean, having built an F-35 where I had to manually mask the RAM panels, to actually have somebody do a set is, that's a godsend, quite frankly. And there are your sheets. I'm assuming they come pre-cut, but if anybody out there has used Galaxy's stuff and can let us know, but yeah, I'm assuming they are pre-cut. But as Lox9 says, God, that looks a lot of work. Yeah, it does look like a lot of work, but it's what we call value for money. So I mean, luckily, when I built my F-35C, I only had to do the CAG one, which was beautifully clean and in one color, and no visible panels on it at all. But I do like the idea of a challenge for that, and I wouldn't mind having a crack at the Italeri one.
Yeah. I think it would be it would be a challenge to get them all in place. It's the kind of thing, once it's on there, you're kind of reluctant to actually spray the next coat on, because it's like all this work is going to be obscured. All this beautiful masking work I did is going to be replaced by beautiful paint work, and then I got to peel it all off and then figure out how to, maybe how do you put it back on the sheet so you can use it again? Have you ever done that?
Well, on a similar note, this is going back wibbly wobbly effect. This is nearly 20 years ago. I bought the Dragon. It was the Panther 2. It was the one with the experimental turret, and it was a 72nd scale kit. But I built it, and because it had all these parts on there, there were like these kind of like yellow vinyl tracks, and there were white metal parts, and I built it. And I never had the heart to put paint on it, because as an unpainted model, it was a thing of beauty. So Mike Williams says, Galaxy models masks are fantastic. Just pay very close attention to the instructions. Mike, are they pre-cut, or do you actually, but are like Tamiya, do you actually have to cut them? I'd imagine they are pre-cut. And as Craig Sargent makes the salient point, the alternative is a lot more work. Yeah, I'm all for using pre-cut masks if I can. Right, we are coming up towards the last couple of items for tonight. This may ping some memories with people, although it's a different aeroplane. It's one of the NASA lifting bodies, and this is coming from Micromere AMP. And this is the Northrop HL10. No, not the one Steve Austin flew that breaks up at the beginning, opening credits of the $6 Million Man. That was the Northrop M2/F2 lifting body. But Chris, with memories of that show, and also just how, Mike confirms, yes, the Galaxy masks are cut. Thank you, Mike. With memories of that show and reading articles about these lifting bodies, again, I am all over this. I've got to get one of these.
Yeah, this is on my list for sure. This is the HL10 was the best flying of the lifting bodies. There were essentially 4 of them. There was the M2F2/M2F3, which basically had a third center vertical stabilizer. There was the X-24A and the X-24B, which was the same airplane, but so radically redesigned you wouldn't recognize it as the same airplane. And then the HL-10, and they were used to research. They used to develop research that led to the space shuttle of aircraft that generated lift just by the shape of their fuselages, essentially. So HL-10 is the most graceful of the 3, I think. And then there were projects like Project Dinosaur and the X-20 that never got off the ground, but they were going to use the same concepts. Amazing NASA projects, and I'm so glad to see these in a really good kit form, because we've had some vacuum forms in the past. I think Mach 2 took a stab at the M2F2, but this is really great news for me. I love these airplanes.
Well, you just mentioned the Martin Marietta X-24, and oh my goodness me, you weren't exaggerating, because that's the X-24A, which is pretty much a kind of flying potato, really, isn't it?
Yes,
a flying jacket potato. Then you have the X-24B, which is more a flying carrot. They are radically different airplanes, aren't they?
And it's the same airplane. So the X-24A is inside the X-24B.
Yeah.
One of the fascinating things about these airplanes is that in order to get the perform or the behavior they wanted in the air, they had to build the nose very, very heavy, very, very structurally heavy, and it's like a paper airplane almost. And they as a result, why would you bother to do anything except just encase the X-24A in a new outside, a new exterior? That overbuilding of the aircraft is the reason that the test pilot in the M2F2 survived, because the entire front acted like a huge roll cage. It wasn't built as a roll cage. It was built as a really super thick, heavy duty structure to give weight to the aircraft.
Yeah, I think people with memories of the opening titles to the $6 Million Man, that when that M2F2 barrels into the ground, pilot survived that. That's quite quite remarkable. But yeah, and this we can see the differences. Obviously, the pointy nose on the B. The B does appear to have a some kind of structure in the middle. Is that an instrument in the middle there, Chris, or in between the 2 fins?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Good question. I'll have to hit the books to look at what that was.
It's not there. It's not there on the A. Let's put it that way. No. Also, two completely different color schemes. The A is in natural metal and the B is in white.
I'm not sure if they added that on the M2. I'm sorry, on the X-24B. If they added a third vertical as a result of things they learned on the M2F2, because it helped reduce pilot-induced oscillation, which was a big problem with these airplanes.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff. It really is. Oops, Daisy, we've lost us. There we are. We're back.
And if you want to read about the lifting bodies, I can strongly recommend Milt Thompson's "Flying Without Wings," a fantastic book. And there's also this book called "Wingless Flight," which is pretty good too. And this one's written by Milt Thompson, who actually flew some of these airplanes and was involved in the project intimately. But it's a really good story, and they really were kind of shoestring operations. In fact, I think the first one of these was built as a glider with just extra NASA funds that were laying around, and done without any kind of permission, and then towed behind a high performance car out in the desert as like a kite, essentially, to prove the point. So it's a really interesting project, and again, the models are great. It's great having these models because they're actually bigger than they look. When you see the picture of the airplane, it looks like maybe it's a small little airplane. It's not. It's a pretty big airplane. So modeling, it's a nice chunk.
Yeah, sorry, Chris, you got me. You've got me on. Got me on the internet at the moment, and I am shopping around for a copy of Flying Without Wings. World of Books have got because out of print. World of Books have got one for £19.95. I'm gonna have to think about that.
It's a bargain. I got mine. I got mine used. It was from the Allen County Public Library. Apparently, these people in Allen County didn't know a good thing when they had it, and they discarded it. And it says discarded right there. And I was lucky enough to get a copy of this for, I think, I'm not sure, not very much, but it's a great read, and it's an amazing project, and the detail they give in there is fantastic.
And the end result of all these tests for lifting bodies manifested itself in
the space shuttle, So
yep.
It's got little wings, but it's mostly lifted, generated by the fuselage. So
yep, because that's what it was all about, wasn't it? It was about building a glider, essentially, an unpowered aeroplane, and yeah, that's the remarkable thing about the space shuttle. It was the largest glider ever built.
Yeah, and unlike every other glider, it didn't have long, skinny wings. It couldn't.
No,
you can't launch a thing with long wings on a booster into space. It doesn't work. So, yeah, the lifting bodies are really important research vehicles, and they have a really great story all their own.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is what I like about this. This is what I like about this hobby, and you kind of you go down a rabbit hole of doing one thing, and then something suddenly pings up, and you're just like, oh, that might become my new favorite thing. And reading about lifting bodies, I can see that's going to be a tea and a cake session. That is. So, right, we have reached and finally, we are going back to Micromere, and it is this, and this is 144th scale, and it is the Nordenfelt 4. Had you ever heard of this, Chris? Of course you had.
I have not, but I always enjoy seeing a submarine that has like exhaust stacks and a boat on deck.
This was a steam-powered submarine, and this stems from the 1880s, and it was designed by a man called Thorsten Nordenfelt, who we'll come to in a second. Nordenfelt's efforts culminated in 1887 with the Nordenfelt 4, which had twin motors and twin torpedoes. It was sold to the Russians, but proved unstable and ran aground off Jutland. It was scrapped when the Russians refused to pay for it. Right, brace yourselves, folks. Thorsten Nordenfelt. There he is. Oh, he's lying on his side. Poor chap's exhausted. But yeah, this is Micromere. That pretty much looks to be the entirety of the kit there.
That's fantastic. Oh, I love this the incredibly streamlined hull. And just the presence of the steam pipes is amusing to me. How far do you dive? Before the water starts rushing in.
Yes, it's like we had problems diving. Why? Well, every time we dive, the water put the boiler out, and I'm sure there was some kind of system to to protect it or to make it waterproof, or perhaps that's why it ran aground on Jutland.
Yeah, well, that could be. And also the boat, they provide you with the top of the boat, the cross members for people to sit on, I guess, which is really cool. But it's also amusing to see, a submarine with its own ship's boat. That's really funny.
Yes, right. Thorsten Nordenfelt. There he is. He's sobered up now.
Nice.
What a striking looking gentleman he is. Goodness me, he's all ties and whiskers. His story, go on Wikipedia, folks, and read his story. He fascinating character. I was going to say, Chris, have you ever read I'm not casting aspersions on his character here, but have you ever read the story of the Christmas Bullet?
The name sounds super familiar, but I don't have the details at the top of my head.
It was do you know what? Sorry, I got a bit Michael Caine here. I am going to find the it'll be on Wikipedia, of course it will be. I'm laughing, and I shouldn't be laughing because it's actually a tragic story, but the Christmas Bullet was a biplane design. No, it wasn't a biplane design. I've got that wrong. It was a monoplane design. Here it is. Right. Can you see the potentially fatal design flaw there?
Oh, goodness sakes. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, you might want to hold those wings on somehow.
Right, because it was considered by many to be among the worst aircraft ever constructed in its time. Its designer, William Whitney Christmas, he actually said that the wings flexing were part of the design. That was intentional. Suffice to say that on its test flight, it took off and the wings fell off and it crashed and the pilot sadly perished. But Christmas still managed to get money out of the US government for it. It's an incredible story. It really is. It should be made into a film because people will go, that's too far-fetched. Surely somebody said that, hang about, he's killing people with his aeroplanes, and it's like, stop his funding. No, they gave him more money.
Yeah. Well, for its time, that was a pretty modern looking airplane, I'm sure, or briefly, until it hit the ground. So I was talking to somebody about this who's familiar with World War I type aviation, and commenting about like some aircraft that look completely rickety and people are climbing into it and going off to combat willingly. It's like, oh, I'd never get into that. And somebody said, well, he pointed out that was the state of the art of all technology at the time. That was like the most cutting edge thing there was. So people were eager to do it because that was really exciting. And I can see the Christmas Bullet and people saying, yeah, the wings fell off, but I think he's got something there. Look at that thing. That's so cutting edge, So yeah, it happened.
The only cutting edge that airplane had was when it plowed up the field. Unfortunately, it was
it looked like something you'd see in front of a supermarket on a motor for kids to sit in. Yeah. So,
but I think even if you saw that in front of a supermarket, you wouldn't put your kids in it. Here we go. The jokes are coming thick and fast here. Dave Swindle talking about the submarine. He said we had the K-class steam-powered submarines famous for the Battle of May Island in World War One. So there we go. Dave Fleming says that's definitely the last Christmas. Lox 9 says yes. Don't trust a designer who has no experience. It really was. It's a shocking story because, like I say, this guy, his arrogance was so complete. It was so unfettered that he just was killing people and getting money for it, and it just
He just snowed everybody. He said
yeah, it was
confidence that
absolute scam artist. He really was. And he's long dead, so he can't sue me. So there we go. But yeah, the Christmas bullet. I'm sure somebody's done a model of it, and if not, somebody probably will. Somebody out there will be. Somebody will tell me now. I can buy a 3D printed model of the Christmas bullet. So, right, Chris. Oh, let's try it again. Let's try it a bit more force.
there we go.
Any other business?
No other business, I don't think. It's back to work on the Midway models and trying to get those things done for the display, which is, I think we've got a deadline of February. I got to pass that on to the team, and I will, as those models appear and as the display gets put together, I'll make sure it's on the website so people can see what it looks like.
Yeah, look forward to seeing how that unfurls. And it also interesting to see what you can do with the old Airfix Devastator, because I would argue that there's space out there for a new one.
I think so too, and I would love to see somebody crank one out right after I finish mine, because it's an interesting airplane, and I'd like to do another one. I'd like to do one of the pre-war ones, because the yellow wings and the chevrons and the colored tails and the cowlings, just really pretty airplanes.
Well, you're doing that thing, aren't you? Of you are tempting the modeling deities by doing a great big kind of like long scratch build project like this, or a semi scratch build project, which the moment you complete it, brand new injection molded kit will turn up. So everybody thank Chris Buchholz for his sacrifice and for his yeah. So
if and when it happens, if and when it happens, it's that the Tiger Cat was hilarious for me, because I signed up to do that based on the idea that the fly model Tiger Cat would show up in time for me to do it and get it done quickly, and because that's a new kit. And then it didn't come out until after the deadline and after I finished my model. So I don't think I pushed that one into existence through weird modeler's karma. But the Devastator, maybe, who knows?
Wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no. It's a fascinating. I mean, yes, okay. I'm just thinking, you've still got the canopy to mask there, Chris. So now what I might be able to do is when I'm up in the attic, I'll pull out one of my Airfix Devastators. I will put the canopy under the scanner, and I will do you some canopy masks.
Oh, that would be very helpful. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, it's not those greenhouse canopies like that are intimidating, but they're nice straight lines.
Yes.
What's difficult is when you have a windscreen on some airplanes. They've got multiple curved lines and things like that, and that's a little more difficult. This is just a matter of like, let's get all these things. Let's get all the different pieces of tape lined up down the sides and across the top and bottom, and then hope you've got everything smoothed down enough. That's what it is. But no, that would help.
He says, surely Special Hobby would be the obvious guys to do the TBD one in 72nd scale. Here's hoping. Yeah, absolutely, Mike, especially if it's the Special Hobby A team, the people who did the Nat and the Magister and the Vampires. Yeah, I would say count me in. Right.
Did the TBF one, and that was at Midway, and that was but they also had a head start with Hasegawa's kit as a basis, I think.
On that note, on that bombshell, a big thank you to Chris for his excellent company tonight. As always, I'm going to flatter you, but yeah, it's always good fun to have you on, Chris. And that's all right. And fingers crossed, we'll be back with a Sunday service next week. So I've just Simon Lewis says it would be interesting to see how to do masks with a scanner. What I would do, Simon, is that I would get the flat surfaces into the scanner so that I can scan them. I can get a reading off of them, a dimension rather. But everything else, curved surfaces, that's going to be magic tape and a pencil, and picking out the edges with that, then putting that under the scanner, then drawing that, and then it's that toing and froing of printing them out, checking that they fit, or even putting them through the silhouette cutter. But it can be done. But I say it's not a straightforward process. It's straightforward in as much as, kind of like running a marathon is straightforward. It just requires stamina. So on
like
that
a lot of
note,
modeling, it's nothing is impossible. Just how much time you're willing to invest in it.
exactly. So on that note, big thank you to Chris, big thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for supporting our show. Fingers crossed we'll see you next Sunday for another Sunday service. Until then, tonight we'll leave you with this. Good night.